The glass hall of Kalor's high palace was built to impress. Its walls curved upward like the ribs of a giant ship, and every surface gleamed as though stars had melted into the glass. Nobles in long robes moved along the balconies. Human guests, dressed in simple suits, stood close together near the lower platform. The marriage between Princess Sarai of Kalor and Elias Heart of Earth was not only a union of two people, but also a treaty between two worlds. Elias stood tall but uneasy. His dark hair was combed neatly, but his hands twitched as if he longed to be fixing a machine instead of holding ceremonial gloves. He was not a soldier nor a politician. He had once been a cargo ship engineer, good with engines, not with courts. Yet here he was in front of a galaxy full of watching eyes. Sarai, in silver and white robes, was calm in appearance. Her voice carried steady when she said the vows in her language. Her golden eyes, shaped by generations of Kalor nobility, softened only when she looked at Elias. To her people, this was a duty. To her heart, it was a gamble. She had chosen Elias because humans had shown honesty in war and in trade. She believed one human could show Kalor a new path. When Elias spoke the words in English, the words were plain and short. "I promise to stand beside you." That was all he said, but in his voice was weight. To him, promises were not flowery but binding. Some Kalor nobles frowned, thinking it too simple. Others whispered, sensing a strength different from their own customs. The treaty was signed in the same moment. Earth would provide engineers, trade routes, and mediators. Kalor would share resources and military protection. The war that had burned along their borders was officially over. After the hall cleared, after the cameras and press left, Elias and Sarai walked together through a quiet corridor. For the first time all day, they were alone. "You did well," Sarai said softly. Elias let out a breath. "I felt like a tool someone forgot how to use." Sarai's lips curved into the faintest smile. "You will learn. Our world is heavy with rules, but I will help you carry them." They entered her private chambers. The air smelled of sweet herbs. Documents and screens were already waiting. The treaty was thicker than Elias expected. Sarai picked up the final printout, her hand pausing over the last section. Something troubled her eyes. "What is it?" Elias asked. She scanned the text again and again. Then she sat down and motioned for him to sit. "There is a clause I did not see before. It is old law, buried deep in the code." Elias leaned over her shoulder. The words were translated into English on the screen. He read slowly, his mind stumbling over legal phrasing. "Any marriage between a foreigner and a house heir shall include all heirs of the house." Elias read aloud. He blinked. "What does that even mean?" Sarai folded her hands. "It means, you are now, by law, bound to my sisters as well." The words fell heavy in the room. Elias stared at her, waiting for her to laugh, to explain it was a joke. She did not laugh. "You're saying," he said carefully, "that because I married you, I'm automatically married to your sisters too?" "Not in ceremony," Sarai said quickly, "but in law. The marriage bond is extended. It is ancient practice. In the past, when a foreigner married into a house, all heirs were joined, so no one could claim the throne alone. It prevented civil war." Elias rubbed his temples. "On Earth, marriage is between two people. Choice, agreement, this law, this isn't what I agreed to." "I know," Sarai whispered. For the first time, she looked truly worried. "I thought the council removed these codes generations ago." But they did not. Now the treaty rests on this. Before Elias could answer, the door chimed. A palace aide entered, bowing. "High Princess, the news is already spreading. The council has called an emergency session tomorrow." When the aide left, Elias sank back into the chair. "They're serious about this, aren't they?" Sarai looked at him with regret. "Yes, refusal means the treaty could be judged void. And if the treaty fails, war could begin again." That night, Elias could not sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thoughts racing. He had promised Sarai he would stand beside her. But had he promised this? He thought of her sisters, and he had seen them only once. Lyra, the older one, sharp-eyed and quiet, standing near the diplomats. Marin, the younger one, bold in her military uniform, laughing with the officers. He barely knew their names, yet the law spoke of them as if they were already his. He turned to see Sarai awake too, sitting by the window. The pale moons of Kalor lit her face. She spoke without looking at him. "I will not force you, but the council may." Elias sat up. "What happens if I refuse?" "Then the treaty collapses. Earth and Kalor drift apart again. Our enemies will move quickly. My sisters and I may lose standing. You will be seen as dishonoring us, and if I accept, then you will be bound to them and to me as one house. It will not be the same as your earth ways. It will be duty, not choice." Elias sighed. "So either I betray myself or I betray you." Sarai finally turned, her golden eyes wet with something she rarely showed: fear. "No, either way we fight to shape what comes next. That is what matters." The next morning the palace was buzzing with voices. Screens displayed arguments from council members, analysts, and news hosts. Some called the law a sacred tradition. Others called it outdated madness. Earth's ambassador sent urgent messages to Elias, warning him not to be trapped. Kalor's nobles argued that if Elias could not respect their law, he was unfit to be their ally. When Elias and Sarai entered the council chamber, silence fell. The chamber was a vast circle of stone and light, filled with rows of nobles in robes. The highest elder spoke first. "Elias, heart of earth, you married our princess. But our law is clear. By binding to one, you bind to all heirs. Will you honor this law?" Elias looked around. Hundreds of eyes watched him. Cameras recorded his every breath. He wanted to shout that it was unfair, that he had never agreed. But he saw Sarai beside him, steady but tense. He thought of Earth's people who counted on peace. He thought of the sisters he barely knew, suddenly tied to his fate. His jaw tightened. "I need time," he said firmly. "On Earth, marriage means choice. I will not give an answer until I know your sisters, until I understand what this law truly demands. If your council wants my respect, it must give me that chance." Whispers broke across the chamber. Some nobles muttered about insolence. Others nodded in thought. The elder raised a hand. "You will have 1 week. In that time you will meet the other heirs. Then we shall demand your decision." Elias and Sarai left the chamber together. Outside, reporters shouted questions. Lights flashed. "Human, do you accept the law? Princess, will your sisters agree? Is the treaty already doomed?" Sarai guided Elias past them, her hand firm on his arm. "Now you see," she said quietly. "This is the world you married into." Elias breathed out, steadying himself. "Then I'll face it. But I'll do it my way." As the palace gates closed behind them, Elias realized his marriage was no longer only a bond between two hearts. It was a knot of law, politics, and power. And if he did not untangle it, everything he and Sarai had fought for might collapse. The sun rose over Kalor's capital like a pale gold lantern. The sky was streaked with colors Elias had never seen before: purple fading into silver, then the sharp blue of the upper atmosphere. He rubbed his eyes, still thinking of the council's verdict. 1 week to meet Sarai's sisters and decide his fate. The palace corridors felt longer than they had the day before. Every corner, every polished floor reflected hundreds of eyes he imagined watching him. Servants passed quietly, bowing low, and the whispers of nobles echoed from doorways. Elias's human mind found it exhausting, yet he knew there was no turning back. If he refused to meet Lyra and Marin, the treaty might collapse and countless lives could be lost. Sarai met him at the breakfast chamber, her robe flowing softly as she moved. Her expression was calm, but her eyes betrayed worry. "They are expecting you," she said. "Lyra in the east wing, Marin in the hangar quarter. I suggest you meet them separately first. Learn their minds, not just their names." Elias swallowed. "Right, separate meetings. Got it, and what if they don't like me?" Sarai smiled faintly. "Then you learn. That is all anyone can do." He nodded and followed her through corridors lined with Kalor tapestries. They arrived at a door marked with Lyra's crest, a silver hawk circling a sun. Sarai tapped twice, then gestured for Elias to enter. Inside, Lyra sat at a large table filled with scrolls, crystals, and glowing devices Elias could not recognize. She looked up slowly, her expression neutral but sharp. Her hair was tied in a braid and her hands were poised above a crystal tablet, scrolling through data faster than Elias could track. "You must be Elias Hart," she said, her voice calm and precise. "Princess Sarai has spoken of you. I expected a foreigner, but not one with such determination." Elias stepped forward, bowing awkwardly. I am honored to meet you, Lady Lyra. I want to understand everything about the law, your world, and the treaty." Lyra's eyes flicked over him, studying his posture, the tension in his shoulders, and the faint sweat along his hairline. "Understanding is only the first step," she said. "You must also adapt. Our law is not simply tradition. It is survival. Houses rise and fall because of marriage choices. If you refuse, everything your princess worked for could collapse. I don't want that, Elias said honestly. I've never been part of something this big. On Earth, I fix engines. I solve problems. Not politics. The week passed like a storm. Elias spent every hour learning the ways of Kalor. Lyra shared history, law, and court politics. Marin dragged him into engines, drills, and simulations that tested speed and decision-making. Sarai observed quietly, her presence a constant reminder of why he had come. Then came the announcement from the council. Elias would undergo 3 trials, the trials of House Kalor. They were ancient rites designed not to punish but to prove worth, courage, loyalty, and understanding. Pass them, and the council would recognize him as a legitimate spouse of the house. Fail, and the treaty could be annulled. Elias studied the instructions. The courage trial would take place in the Dome of Elements, a massive arena where environmental hazards were simulated. Lightning strikes, falling debris, sudden collapses, designed to test reflexes, bravery, and calm thinking. Humans had never faced such ritualized trials, but he realized courage was more than muscle. It was the ability to act under pressure without panic. The loyalty trial would be mental and social. He would face scenarios where he could gain personal advantage but at the cost of the house. How he acted would be observed by the council and advisors, recorded and analyzed. The test measured fidelity to duty, empathy, and judgment. The understanding trial was the hardest. He would need to mediate a conflict between Kalor nobles while respecting traditions, law, and the needs of individuals. Humans solved conflicts differently, by debate and compromise, while Kalor valued hierarchy, precedent, and ritual. He had to bridge these worlds. The first trial began in the Dome of Elements. Elias stepped into the arena, feeling the cool hum of energy barriers around him. The floor shook as simulated tremors rolled through the chamber. Sparks crackled across panels overhead. A wall of wind and fire surged forward. Elias remembered what he had learned from Marin. Improvisation mattered. He dodged falling debris, timed movements to the rhythm of the energy pulses, and used a simple harness to navigate a collapsing ledge. When a simulated lightning strike came close, he grabbed a metal rod to ground the charge safely, something humans had learned to do in storms. When the dome's doors finally opened, sweat ran down his face and his clothes were scorched in small places. Marin grinned. You didn't follow the ritual. You survived in your own way, that is, unusual. Lyra approached quietly, folding her hands. The council will debate whether that counts. You did survive, but they value form as well as result. Elias groaned. Form versus function. On Earth, we always choose function. Then the next trial will test whether you can balance both, Lyra said, her tone sharp. The loyalty trial was subtle but no less stressful. He was placed in a simulation of a council meeting. 2 houses were feuding over trade rights. One offered him a personal reward if he secretly favored them. He could have taken it easily. Humans were good at negotiation, but he remembered Sarai's warning. Actions had consequences. Elias thought fast. Instead of choosing a side, he proposed a compromise. Adjust quotas, trade equal shares, and schedule joint oversight committees. The holographic nobles stared. The simulated council applauded his solution. It was clever, human, and fair, but not strictly traditional. Some records flagged it. Lyra whispered, "The council may call that clever or reckless. Only time will tell." Finally came the understanding trial. A dispute between 2 minor houses erupted in the palace gardens. Elias was summoned to mediate. One house demanded a strict adherence to succession law. The other demanded flexibility for a recent military victory. Both had valid points, but rigid tradition blocked compromise. Elias paused, watching. He remembered Lyra's lessons on rhetoric, Marin's lessons on leadership, and Sarai's words about empathy. He spoke slowly, calmly in both English and Kalor common tongue, translating ideas so each side understood the other's needs. "You both seek honor," he said. "The law is strong, but so is your people's future. Let us create a path that honors the past and ensures survival. You may adjust succession for the next term while maintaining ceremony. Both families will have standing in the council and oversight over trade. No one loses dignity and the house remains strong." The nobles blinked. Some murmured in surprise. Some fidgeted, unused to compromise framed in human logic. But the result was accepted. For the first time, a human had navigated a Kalar conflict without disrespecting law, but still introducing flexibility. By evening, Elias was exhausted. Lyra approached him again. You see, human, the council may never fully accept your ways. But small victories count. You have survived tests that could have crushed a less adaptable mind. You understand more than anyone expected. Elias leaned back against the balcony rail, staring at the moons of Kalor. I just hope understanding them and surviving their laws will be enough. The sisters were not done teaching him yet. Marin dragged him to a simulation of a fleet exercise. Human ships and Kalar ships moved together under strict coordination. Elias noticed mistakes in timing, gaps in communication, and a weakness in improvisation that Kalor officers struggled to adapt to. Watch, Marin said. Humans think fast. Kalor thinks precise. If we combine both. She gestured, and together they moved the ships in a new pattern. The fleet avoided a simulated ambush, completing the exercise perfectly. Lyra, observing silently, finally spoke. Perhaps humans are not unfit. Perhaps they are unconventional. The council will be shocked when they see this. Evening fell and the palace was quiet. Elias found Sarai in the garden, her hands resting lightly on the stone railing. How did it go? She asked. Better than I expected, he admitted. I passed the courage trial by improvising, the loyalty trial by being fair, and the understanding trial by bridging their gaps. But will they accept it? Kalar judges form as heavily as outcome. Sarai smiled softly. Humans see people, not just rules. That is what makes you dangerous and useful. The council will debate, but you have shown worth. That is the first step. The next morning, the palace chamber filled with murmurs. The council convened to review the trials. Holographic screens displayed Elias's performance. Sparks from the dome, compromises in council, fleet maneuvers. Many nobles frowned, whispering about disregard for tradition. Others leaned forward, eyes bright. The elder rose. Elias Hart has completed the trials of House Kalor. He has passed by unconventional means. Courage, loyalty, and understanding are all present, but he did not follow all customs. Will this house accept a human who blends our laws with his own? Murmurs rose in the chamber. Some argued that survival mattered more than tradition. Others insisted that bending law weakened the house. Elias stepped forward. He spoke clearly, slowly. I am human. I act differently. I do not break your laws, but I use them to protect your people. My ways are not yours, but my purpose is the same. To honor your house, to keep your people safe, and to work with Sarai and her sisters as one. Judge me by my results, not by whether I fit into a mold. Silence followed. Then Lyra stood. The human is correct. We cannot deny progress when it strengthens the house. Tradition is our guide, but survival is our duty. He has shown worth, intelligence, and loyalty. I support recognition, Marin nodded. I trust him. He can lead. He can adapt. He saved the fleet in simulation. He proved himself. That is worth more than ceremonies alone. Sarai's voice, soft but firm, completed the argument. I chose him. I will stand by him. The house should see what I see. A human who respects, learns, and acts with integrity. The council debated late into the night. Some old nobles grumbled, some praised, but the decision was leaning toward recognition. Elias's approach, human, adaptive, and honest, had passed the trials in a way no one expected. Elias returned to his chambers, exhausted but hopeful. He had faced the ancient rituals, the trials of mind and body, and survived. More importantly, he had gained the trust of Lyra and Marin. He had begun to understand the weight of Kalor law and how human ways could coexist with it. Looking out at the moons reflecting on the glass towers, Elias whispered, I can do this, one step at a time. He had no illusions. More challenges lay ahead, but for the first time he felt the stirrings of confidence. He was not just a guest in Kalar's world. He might one day be a partner, a bridge, and a symbol of what humans could achieve when they dared to face the impossible. The palace was quiet, but the air was tense. Elias Hart had passed the trials of House Kalor, and the council had begun debates about whether his human methods could be accepted. Some nobles whispered that his ideas were reckless. Others murmured admiration for his courage and adaptability. For Elias, it was not enough to survive the trials. He needed to shape the future. He found Sarai in the library chamber, reviewing texts and reports. They are debating, she said softly. Some wish to bend the law, others insist on punishment. You have one chance to show what humans bring to Kalor, Elias. I know, he replied. But how do I do that? I've passed the trials. I've proven myself. Yet they still see me as a foreigner who bends the rules. Sarai smiled faintly. You will show them in action. Not just words, but results. That is how humans earn respect here. The next morning, Elias met with Lyra and Marin. Lyra, always precise, laid out documents and legal texts. Marin, in contrast, had a small model of the palace and fleet formations on the table. Together they began to plan. Humans think differently, Lyra said. You see connections and solutions why. The city of Kalor slept under twin moons, yet the palace never truly rested. Alarms echoed through corridors as sensors picked up unusual movements at the edge of the system. The Kessari League had not forgotten the failed probe. Now they were sending a fleet, larger, faster, and armed for confrontation. Elias Hart was called to the command center immediately. Lyra and Marin were already there, reviewing star maps and fleet simulations. Sarai joined them, her expression serious but composed. They're coming, Marin said bluntly, and they won't stop at tests. This is an attack. Elias studied the incoming fleet. They outnumber us, he said. But we have one advantage, their formation is predictable. They rely on strict hierarchy. They expect obedience, not improvisation. Lyra nodded. And that is where you come in, human. You have already shown that Kalor law and human thinking can combine. Now your strategy must save our people. Elias's heart raced. He had led cargo missions and fleet exercises before, but nothing like this. Lives would depend on decisions made in minutes, not hours. He realized that the law he had feared, the one binding him to Sarai and her sisters, had prepared him for this. He had learned responsibility, adaptation, and trust. Listen, he said, we divide our forces. Marin leads the main fleet. Lyra coordinates defenses and logistics. I will command a rapid response unit. Small ships, flexible, able to strike where they least expect us. We'll use misdirection and speed. Sarai placed her hand on his shoulder. I trust you. Do what humans do best. Think fast, act faster. The fleet prepared for engagement. Kalor ships gleamed under energy shields, engines humming with anticipation. Elias climbed into the command pod of his unit, a group of smaller ships designed for rapid movement and surprise maneuvers. He checked every system, scanning for weak points in the Kessari formation. Remember, he said to his pilots, all Kalor officers trained in precise protocols. We improvise. We adapt. We win by being unpredictable. The first clash came near a dense asteroid field. The Kessari fleet moved confidently, expecting the Kalor ships to follow traditional formations. Elias's unit darted in, weaving through rocks, drawing enemy fire and disappearing before they could respond. Missiles exploded harmlessly against decoy drones. Marin's main fleet flanked from behind, striking while the Kessari formation was disrupted. Lyra guided reinforcements, ensuring civilians and supply routes remained safe. It was chaos, yet every move had purpose. Elias's human strategies amplified Kalor's strength, blending speed, logic, and courage. In the midst of battle, a massive Kessari ship broke through the defense line, targeting the palace orbit. Marin noticed immediately. Elias! They're aiming at the palace. Intercept. Elias didn't hesitate. Follow me. We'll draw it off course. He led his unit in a daring loop around nearby moons, using gravity to accelerate and dodge fire. The Kessari ship, bigger but slower, struggled to match their movements. With careful timing, Elias fired coordinated energy pulses, forcing the enemy vessel to divert. From the palace balcony, Sarai and Lyra watched the fight. Citizens gathered at safe points, cheering the small but effective human-led unit. That is human courage, Lyra whispered. They do not rely solely on strength, they use wit, speed, and unpredictability. Hours passed. The Kessari fleet, frustrated by tactics it could not anticipate, began retreating. The skies above Kalor glowed with the after-effects of the battle, smoke, sparks, and scattered debris. Elias and his unit returned to the palace, exhausted but alive. Marin met him in the docking bay, her armor scorched but her smile wide. You did it, human. The palace is safe, our people are safe, and the League has learned not to underestimate us. Lyra approached, folding her hands. The Council will have to reconsider their view of humans. Your actions prove that courage, loyalty, and understanding are not bound to tradition alone. They can be taught and applied differently. Sarai joined them, placing a hand on Elias's shoulder. You've done more than survive trials. You've earned trust, respect, and a place in Kalor history. The law that frightened you. It has become your strength. Elias breathed deeply, looking at the moons reflected on the city. I acted to protect you, your sisters, and your people. That's all I know to do. Humans think fast and act fast. We adapt, we survive, but we also honor those we care about. The council convened the next day. Debate was fierce. Some old nobles muttered about bending law, about letting a human influence Kalor tradition, but news of Elias's actions, supported by Lyra and Marin, could not be ignored. Holographic feeds showed his unit saving civilians, diverting the Kessari fleet and coordinating with Kalor forces flawlessly. The elder of the council finally spoke. Elias Hart has faced the trials of House Kalor. He has demonstrated courage, loyalty, and understanding in both law and action. His methods are unconventional, but they are effective. The House recognizes his contributions and binds him officially to House Kalor, with all privileges and responsibilities. Murmurs of approval and disbelief spread. Elias felt a weight lift. The law that had seemed like a trap now gave him authority, respect, and partnership. He had not only survived, it had transformed him into a bridge between human ingenuity and Kalor tradition. That evening, Elias walked with Sarai, Lyra, and Marin through the palace gardens. The flowers glowed softly under the moons, reflecting colors humans rarely saw. Sarai spoke first. You have done more than any human could. You saved our city, earned trust, and strengthened the house. She paused, searching his eyes. I chose you because I believed you could see beyond rules. You have proven me right. Lyra stepped forward. And I underestimated you. Your mind is quick, your courage steady. You are not simply a spouse, you are a partner, a leader, and now part of our house. Marin laughed softly. I admit it. I was wrong to doubt you. You think fast, act faster, and inspire people along the way. Humans are unpredictable but effective. Welcome to Kalor, human. Not just as our ally, but as our family. Elias felt a warmth he had never known. The fear, confusion, and doubt that had plagued him since arrival were gone. He had faced alien laws, passed trials, survived attacks, and earned the trust of not only Sarai, but her sisters and people. Looking at the moons, he whispered to himself, This is worth every challenge. Humans adapt, humans endure, and humans protect what they love. Sarai leaned close. And now you are officially recognized. The law binds you, yes, but you have shown that choice, courage, and action matter as much as tradition. Elias smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility as something powerful and positive. I will honor the law, respect your family, and act to protect Kalor. But I will do it in my way, human way. That is all I know. The sisters nodded in agreement. In that moment, a bond formed that law alone could not create. Trust, respect, and shared purpose. The galaxy had watched, and for the first time, humans had not only survived alien rules, they had reshaped them. As the moons reflected off the palace towers, Elias knew challenges would come again. The Kessari League might try, other threats could emerge, and the council might test him further. But for the first time, he felt that human courage, ingenuity, and heart were recognized as forces that could coexist with alien law and tradition. And for Elias Hart, that was the greatest victory of all. The moons of Kalor cast a silver glow over the palace as Elias Hart walked through the gardens with Sarai, Lyra, and Marin. The city was alive with celebrations, citizens cheering the defense of their home and the cleverness of the human who had led them. Yet Elias knew the ultimate challenge remained, fully integrating himself into Kalor law, the sisters' expectations, and the council's trust. The council had called a final assembly. All noble houses, military leaders, and senior advisors gathered in the grand chamber, a hall of crystal and polished metals, where the law of Kalor had been upheld for centuries. Elias, Sarai, Lyra, and Marin entered together. The air was thick with anticipation. Whispers rippled through the crowd. The elder of the council, standing at the center, raised a hand. Elias Hart has survived the trials of House Kalor. He has proven courage, loyalty, and understanding. He has defended the city, coordinated fleets, and navigated our laws. Now we must decide if he shall be fully recognized under Kalor law and the union with Sarai and her sisters. Elias felt the weight of 1,000 eyes upon him. He recalled the journey, first meeting Sarai, the challenge of understanding alien law, The council trials, Lyra's precision, Marin's courage, and the life-or-death confrontation with the Kessari League. Every step had brought him closer to this moment. Stepping forward, he addressed the chamber. I am human. I have faced your laws, your trials, and your traditions. I do not wish to break them. I wish to honor them in my way using the skills humans have: adaptation, courage, and collaboration. My loyalty is to Sarai, her sisters, and the people of Kalor. I have acted to protect and strengthen your house. I ask not only for recognition but for trust. A hush fell. Then Lyra and Marin stepped beside him, speaking in support. Lyra's voice was calm, precise. Elias Hart has proven that human thinking can coexist with Kalor law. He respects tradition, yet brings ingenuity. That is a strength, not a weakness. Marin's voice was bold and confident. He saved the city. He defended the palace. He adapted when others hesitated. Kalor needed action and leadership. Elias proved that humans can do more.